Okay, hi guys, and welcome to this review. This one I am unbelievably excited about. This is the Campfire Audio Dorado 2020, and in my opinion, this is the best earphone I've ever heard in my life. I own a lot of high-end earphones. I own the Sony IER1ZR, original Campfire Solaris, the latest Solaris. I own products from Audio64, JH Audio, and a number of other customs, as well as a lot of the Chi-Fi stuff. This strikes a note with me that the way it presents the music and the way that I listen to music, it is on a par with the 1ZR. It's not the same sounding earphone as the 1ZR, but it's on a par with how much I enjoy it. It tonally, for me, it's the best thing I've heard. I was sitting last night just going over some final tracks. I've been testing it for about 2 weeks now, along with a couple of other high-end earphones. And this one stands out. This is the one that I keep coming back to, and I think it's the one I'm going to listen to going forward. It's going to be the benchmark for what I measure everything else against. So I'm going to get into the sound, but first of all I want to just talk about the presentation, a little bit about Campfire Audio. So Campfire Audio are an American company. They hand make their earphones. They're a very small company that I believe at one point was owned by ALO Audio, and I don't know if they still are or if they're completely separated now, but these guys have a really, really good history in the audiophile market long before Campfire came along. They're some of the nicest guys I've met at the high-end show in Munich that I go to every year. They seem to have a passion about it. They seem to have this ethos where they have a lot of earphones at the same price or in the same price range. Just now you have the Vega 2020, you have the Aria and the Dorado. They're all within $200 of each other. And where you get this thing where Shure will create the 215, the 315, the 425, the 535, and those companies are just trying to hit a general pleasing at each incremental step up in the price point. Campfire Audio is saying, okay, around about $1,000, we're going to give you options. You have the Andromeda. The Andromeda, beautifully accurate, detailed, wonderfully neutralish earphone. You have the Vega, absolute bass monsters, and then you have these, which I would say is a listener's earphone. You have those three things: accurate, something in the middle, bassy, and depending on the way you listen to music, you can choose, which one of them you want. So you're not pigeonholed into making something fit. If I don't get on with the Shure SE846, which I also have, and I rate very highly, but say I didn't get on with them, I would need to go looking at another brand because they don't have anything else tuning wise. If I wanted more bass or a little bit flatter response, I would have to go looking somewhere else. And I like that Campfire Audio is doing this thing where they're providing multiple options to the sound in a similar price point. So if we get into the packaging, put these out of the way. The new box is very similar to all the other Campfire Audio line. It's got this sort of 80s VCR style picture on the outside, but you still get this starry sky on the outside. And then when you go to open it for the first time, it explodes outward like that, and the Campfire Audio logo on the inside. I think it's a really nice touch. It's thoughtful. It's all recyclable packaging. And then you have the Starry Night Sky, where your campfire is down here, and Campfire Audio logo in the middle. we open up, you get the nicely done, which you get on all the Campfire Audio stuff. And you got the cable, which I'll get into in a second. You get the user manual, which nobody really reads. And in here you got some extra tips and the cable, and the earphones actually come inside the case. First things first, I'm going to talk about the case. Campfire Audio are very well known for their beautiful cases. They've produced some stunning cases in the past few years. This is not one of them. This is... I don't like the colour to start, but it's covered in manufacturing defects. You can see this is when you've got a core and then you go to put on a fabric using glue. This is usually a result of using excess glue and you get this wrinkle effect. So this is not meant to be like that, and it's a bit of an oversight that was included in such an earphone. But functionally the case is still the same. I like the little metal Campfire badge, Campfire accents there as well. And of course on the inside you get the one of the ear tips stuck. You get the fur lining on the inside, which is, you know, it's a soft lining that's going to keep your earphones safe when you're rattling them about in the bag. You get these little pouches. Inside the pouches, these were originally used to store the earphones in. You would have one in each side, but now they also include their accessories, which include multiple E-series tips, which is a good thing. Comply tips, which I'm not so keen on, and another regular sort of silicone style tip, along with a small cleaning tool to keep them wax and dirt free. And that's really about it. Now, if I talk about the cable for a second, the Campfire Audio cables have not always been great. The original tinsel cable was pretty bad, and the original Litz cable was honestly pretty bad as well. Good quality materials, good build quality, but really tangle prone and very, they didn't have a nice sort of flow to it. This is called the Smoky Litz cable. So it's an evolution of the Litz design cable, and it features a twist pattern, dual twist at the bottom, or quad twist at the bottom into a dual twist at the top, and it's quite thin at the top. A very light cable, still prone to some tangling. I have the Solaris cable here. This is the issue with Campfire Audio cables. If I take this cable from the side of me, this is the cable that's included on the $120 Shure tape, and you can see this cable doesn't retain memory in the same way that the Campfire Audio cables do, which means it's really prone to tangling, very hard to wrap it up properly. And I'll show you if I do this. You saw instantly the difference here. If I go to wrap this cable up, and if I put it down, you know, this is an excellent cable. This is on a $130, $120 earphone. This is by no means a bad cable, or this one is by no means a bad cable, but you know, I much prefer something like this, so I would probably switch this to an aftermarket design. You have MMCX connectors at the top, you have cable guides, you have a metal slider, metal splitter, and you have a right angle 3.5mm jack with the Campfire Audio logo at the top and decent strain relief. The thing I like is that it is lightweight, it's small, and it's very inoffensive when you're using it. It's just when you tie it up, it's a bit of a pain in the ass. So onto the earphones themselves. These are special, and they're special to me because one of my favorite earphones of all time was the original Campfire Audio Lyra earphones. Those of you that know the original Lyra know that it came in this ceramic housing. The ceramic housing kind of disappeared for a few years, and they went with a metal, very industrial looking design. The ceramic, I believe, there's earphones in the past. There was a Panasonic Zirconia earphone and a few other ceramic earphones in the past, which have sounded really, really unique with the way the timbre presents itself and the decay happens. Just because ceramic is such a hard material, it has a lot of acoustic properties to it. I believe there's a bronze nozzle that's fused onto it, and they've moved away from this grill pattern to a more pinhole design with 12 pinholes, maybe 16 pinholes. I like that. I like they're super, super small. They're super comfortable in the ears. The ceramic stays cooler than metal. It feels really, really nice in the ear. It has quite a long bore, meaning they sit just past a medium depth insertion, and with the E series tips from Final, they fit absolutely wonderfly in my ears. They have gold-plated MMCX connectors, which is my preference over a 2-pin design, and they have this small vent hole you can see just at my thumb. The vent hole will be to let the dynamic driver breathe, but design wise, comfort wise, isolation wise, all top marks for me. Now to go into the sound, sound is incredible. The bass is wonderfully rich, it's impactful, it has amazing sub bass response, yet it still remains detailed and textured. It gives you that real dynamic driver sense of impact that you'll be missing with just a balanced amateur style earphone. The mid bass is excellent. It's fast, it's punchy, it's tight, it's controlled, it doesn't bleed the mid range. It just blends beautifully into the mids. The distinct sound between the low end and the mid range, where they blend beautifully but they sound completely apart. It's almost as if the bass is coming from further behind you, and the mid range and the highs are coming from further inside. And technically it is, because I believe the balanced armature is sitting inside this brass nozzle, and the dynamic driver is sitting quite far back in the housing by comparison. The mid-range is buttery smooth, covered in details. Vocals, male and female vocals, both excel. You listen to male vocals, you get the weight, you get the grit. I was listening to Black Jesus by Everlast, and you can hear the grit and the weight in his vocals. You switch to something like Diana Krall, is it Midnight in New York? And it just sounds incredible. And even going into Midnight in New York with Diana Krall, there's a small piano solo right at the end, and the resonance and decay of the piano notes was phenomenal to me. I was just sitting there in awe last night. Beautiful sounding earphones, and super versatile as well. That was the one thing. I was going from classical 1812 overture. I was jumping into sad hunk trick to being happy. I was just bouncing about every piece of music that I had. I was like, what does this sound like? What does this sound like? How will this sound with this earphone? And the more I got into that, the more I just realized it was the perfect earphone. Everything sounded good for me. Everything sounded like the way I wanted it to sound. There was no point where I thought, there's too much bass there, or that's overshadowing that. It can hit hard with the bass, but when it's not required in you know, an acoustic track like say Higher Octave, Rodrigo and Gabriella, it just, the bass takes a back seat. It just you maybe get some of the punchy mid bass from the lower guitar strings, but the highs and the mids just shine through. The highs are crisp, clear, detailed, absolutely no sibilance. They're smooth, they're beautifully presented. They have just the right amount of sparkle that carries the soundstage to be big and airy. I'm not going to say that they're as big as something like the Solaris, but in my opinion, these are better earphones than the Solaris. Solaris cost $400, $500 more. The Solaris are incredible earphones. Soundstage on the Solaris is still fantastic. And technical accuracy, I would say as well, the Solaris has it, but as overall musicality, as a listener's headphone for somebody who just wants to sit back and really, really get into the music, just like you did when you were younger and you didn't care about your headphones, and just get that jam going, this ticks every single box for me. It's absolutely incredible. Now going on to something else I have here. A lot of people will be looking like, you know, Campfire Audio Vega 2020, Dorado 2020. You know, this is a natural progression. You should also have the Andromeda 2020, but thanks to COVID, I don't have access to them right now. These are exclusively for bass. Exclusively for bass for people with a wide variety of genres that they listen to, you know, EDM, I listen to industrial, I listen to rock, I listen to classical, I listen to jazz, I listen to vocal, I listen to tripno, stuff like that, and these just keep banging out the sounds. This is more one-dimensional. This is if you really like sub-bass response and a lot of bass response, and this sort of excels if you're looking at stuff with a grand soundstage and big presentation and lots of air. But for me, these standout earphones, not just in the Campfire line, but you know, out of a lot of the higher end earphones that I've heard. Comparison to 1ZR, they are, again, the 1ZR I don't have with me to directly compare them. They sound different than the 1ZR. The 1ZR has that characteristic of the big soundstage. These sound as pleasing from memory to me. And the other thing is they're so much smaller than the 1ZR. The 1ZR are a pain in the ass to get into your ears. And the 1ZR are also $900. Maybe if they're on sale right now, they're $600 more expensive. There's no way that the 1ZR are $600 more, worth $600 more to me. Now, everybody's going to listen to music in a different way. The truth is, when you get to this sort of price range, there is no, you could theoretically enjoy a $500 earphone more than you enjoy a $2,000 earphone. There is no bias towards price to performance anymore. Once you get to a certain level, it's incremental steps, and a lot of the time it's side steps, and it's mainly based on tuning. And for me, the tuning on these is incredible, and these will be the ones that I listen to going forward. The only change I'm going to make is I'm going to switch to a Duno Hulk cable, and that's mainly because I like the switching adapter, so I can use it with different DAPs without having to change the cables. I don't like pulling cables out the top of my earphones. So that's going to be it for this review. I'm so sorry it's so long. I really never intended to do a 20-minute review, but I really, really like these earphones. Can't recommend them enough. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please consider liking, subscribing, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the Vega review right now.